Hi, I'm Melinda Van Fleet, and welcome to the Confident Conversations podcast. I'm an author, speaker, and success coach who helps women believe in themselves, build confidence, and take action. This podcast shares authentic and transparent, thought-provoking stories, tips, and tools from my experiences, as well as incredible guests, so you can continue to build your confidence and live your best life. Thank you so much for joining me. Let's get started on this confidence journey. Real quick before we begin, my first solo book, Confidence Mastery for Couples, Roadmap to a More Intimate Relationship, is live on Amazon. It is live in ebook, paperback, and soon to be Audible. So check it out. I'll put a link to purchase in the show notes. Thank you, everyone. Now on to the podcast. Welcome, everyone, to the Confident Conversations podcast. I am super excited. I have a special guest this week, Elaine Lindsay. And Elaine and I are fellow columnists with the Marketing, Media, and Money magazine that if you follow me on social media, on LinkedIn and Facebook, you may have seen me post about it once or twice. And I just love Elaine's story. So I thought she would just be a perfect guest to have on this podcast. And she is a social SEO specialist, a speaker, a glamapreneur, which I love. She's bionic and she practices gratitude attitude. And I'm going to just jump right in and introduce her so she can do more of her story sharing than me because she's the guest and I'm really excited. So welcome, Elaine.
Thank you so much for having me, Melinda.
So what I want you to do, if you don't mind, is share a little bit of your background, and then let's dive in by you sharing about your experience with your first speaking engagement where you were doing comedy, because so many people struggle with stepping out of their comfort zone and building their confidence. And it's such a really cool story and example that I would love for you to share.
Okay, well, it's actually sort of everything about my life is completely ass backwards. So I'm going to start with a quick explanation of me, which is this. If you put me in a room full of horse shit, I am going to start digging because I'm telling you, somewhere in there, there's a pony. Now, that should give the audience sort of an idea of where I come from. I have a really hard time being serious because if we take life seriously, life is going to go out of its way to kick us in the ass. Over and over and over. I have probably done a lot of bizarre things before I did the comedy. But the thing is, ever since I was a little kid, I wanted to do comedy. I really did. But there was a few things stopping me. I was horrifically insecure. I wouldn't even put it out there that I wanted to do comedy. And as a teenager, I had a few things happen to me that really kind of pushed all the wrong buttons and turned me into a kind of very unhappy, very uncomfortable 20-something who had to decide whether I was going to just live in pain and be a bit of a bitch all the time, or whether I could make better choices. And it took quite a while. And quite honestly, I spoke for business for a number of years before I ever spoke about me, and long before I finally got up the guts to get on stage at a comedy club in 2018. Now, just so the audience knows, I'm now 65 years old. So I've wanted to be in comedy a very, very long time. And finally, in 2018, I took a course with a comedy genius. Her name is Jen Hayward. And I have another comedy mentor whose name is Judy Croon. She's actually Canada's keynote humorist. And working with those two got me to the stage in Yuck Yucks. I did 6 minutes on stage, and I got some good laughs. I got some good reviews. I was invited back to the club. And then my family, my son in particular, and my husband said, you're funny, but that really wasn't you. Because already in the past 5 minutes, people have heard me speak the way I normally talk.
Mm-hmm.
And, unlike my parents, who are immigrants from Scotland, I too immigrated from Scotland. My father wouldn't say shit if he had a mouthful. It's just how we were brought up. I was not allowed to say the H word with 2 hockey sticks. I went to a parochial school and I had to be really good. So much so that the yearbook says, Elaine says you're full of it, and I don't mean chocolate pudding. I sanitized everything. Well, I'm here to say I don't sanitize anymore. And I've since gone on to get on stage at yet another comedy club. Now, why is this important for speakers? I have no intentions of becoming a comedian. 1, I don't think I'm good enough. 2, I don't want to start my day at 10 o'clock at night. I'm 65. I don't have that kind of energy anymore. And as much as it would be a really interesting lifestyle, I actually enjoy doing things with people during the day. I wanted to do comedy in part because it makes it so much easier to relate to your audiences when you can look at yourself and laugh. I'm the first one to highlight my mistakes, and trust me, there's lots of them. I'm one of these people who sometimes has to be given the same lesson over and over and over again before I actually get it. So there's lots of mistakes to be able to talk about. And when you are a speaker, I think that's great because it means you have good stories in order to show the people you're talking to that you too are human and everybody can do whatever it is they want to do. You just have to apply yourself in however that looks for you, because each of us has different skills, we have different strengths, different weaknesses, and we really have to go inside to sort of figure out, like, what are our strengths, what are our weaknesses, and how can we amplify those. Now, here's the really cool part. I have friends that taught me to be what they call flawsome. And flawsome means sometimes your greatest weaknesses are actually the best strengths you want to work with. So me swearing a lot and me making fun of the things that have happened in my life, that's actually, I think, the thing that makes me most human and allows me to be able to share both my knowledge and my expertise, but in a way that's easy for people to take in, easy for people to understand. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Just makes you more relatable, I think, especially out there in the social media world. I see it getting better, and you can tell me if you agree or disagree. But, just a couple of years ago, it was like everyone just having this vision of perfection all the time and not really sharing where they came from and their mistakes along the way. So I love that word, flawsome. I think that's really cool.
Oh, it's so good. It's 7, well, now 8 things that make you stand out and take it to that next level. Take your weakness and expand on it, amplify it in a way, A, that shows you're human, but B, that makes you stand apart from the crowd. Yeah. Because I've said for a million years, perfection, well, it really doesn't exist. If we were perfect, if humans were perfect, there'd be 2 of them.
Yeah.
One male, one female. Done. Okay, that's it. Thank you. Move on. Now we'll go somewhere else. Like when you think about it, and perfection, think about all the top models. They have something that's either asymmetrical or, their eyes are much bigger than their face or their smile is a little outsized. People who are on TV and in movies, do you know that traditionally they tend to have much larger craniums? And that
Oh,
sounds bizarre, but it's because it photographs well. It's not the perfection people are looking for. It's the je ne sais quoi that stands out
yeah.
in the person. Their humor, their warmth, their inner glow, their friendliness. Okay, like we know lots of people like that have different strengths that make them, one, unique, and two, really interesting, and three, the most important, really approachable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And who's to say, this is what always kind of cracks me up too, who's to say what is perfect, right? Because
Oh,
we all have different
absolutely.
opinions of what perfect may be. So
And
to say,
for me, that's why I said, like, it doesn't exist,
yeah,
because for
exactly.
every person it's different.
It's different. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And to your point too about supermodels, if you ask a supermodel if they think they're perfect, they're going to go, no, my thighs are too fat, or like,
Yeah.
they're going to have something that, they don't think is perfect about themselves. So we're all so hard on
Everybody.
ourselves. It's really amazing.
It's so true. Everybody that you talk to, no matter if it's the person that you think is, absolutely the top of the top of the top, I guarantee you, if you sat them down and talked to them and you said, oh, like for me, my lips are crooked. And to me, it's like this big red flag. I cannot watch myself on video because it's like, oh my God, look at that crooked mouth. If you sat down with a top model, that's exactly what they would say, either my thighs or oh, one eye's too big, or my ears stick out. There's always something
Mm-hmm.
that we critique about ourselves. But I find the reason for that, humans by nature are comparative.
Mm-hmm.
We can't know short unless we know tall.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we can't know right unless we know left. We can't know big unless we know small. So when you realize that it's as basic as us being able to sort of quantify what we see, hear, or feel in front of us or from another person,
Mm-hmm.
then it kind of makes sense. And it's like, you know what? We just have to be gentler with ourselves.
Yeah.
And coming from a place of total self-hatred, back when if I can take a few minutes, back when I was 20 years old, I was crushed between three cars. I lost part of my leg. I was pregnant and lost the baby at 6.5 months. I had much internal damage. I broke both my legs in multiple places, fractured my skull, dislocated my shoulder. I was a bit of a mess. And all of those things came together to just make me, at total odds with myself. And it took a very long time, ridiculously long time. It was not until 1997 when I was yet another car accident. The universe sometimes, some people say the universe hits you with bricks.
Yeah.
In my case, it's vehicles. There's
No.
obviously a universal point there. In this particular accident, a gentleman, not so gentle, who was having some road rage, aimed his car at myself and my children, and I got in the way so that he couldn't hurt my kids.
Oh my.
And he tried to drive away with me on the hood of his car, and other people stopped him. But after that, for me, it was this massive aha, because I'd been questing for decades at that point, going, there's got to be more to life than at that point. I had been in pain since 1976, and this was 1997. So after, 30 years of extreme pain, it was, come on, there's got to be more to life. And I started reading the 4 agreements and the 9th insight. And then this accident happened. And I thought, okay, there is a common denominator here. There's a central character, OMG, and it's me. Wow. It's like, good Lord, that's pretty shitty. I'm what's sort of propelling all this. And how is that so? And that led me on this self-discovery journey. Mm-hmm. And then in 2010, when I'd been doing websites and SEO for, I guess at that point, probably 10 years, I realized that there's something else going on here. There is so much more. And in fact, I was working with a spiritual healer, an energy worker that my son calls the holistic missile. And I came to the realization that, in fact, we create our own reality. Mm-hmm. And if that's so, then what the hell was I thinking? Why did I want all this crap and drama? It was like, oh my God, I don't need garbage in my life. I want a plethora of good things. Mm-hmm. And I set myself on a path to learn how to do that. Now, I have said sometimes I'm a bit of a slow learner. It took a really long time, even after that, to understand that I had to be kind to me. I had to learn not just to like me, because I had to do that first, but I had to love me in order to properly love others. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know that old airplane story? It was funny. I never got that. People, don't put the air mask on you before you do anybody else. And I used to think, God, that's self-serving. And then I realized, duh, that's for everybody else. Because if you're not breathing, you sure as hell ain't helping anybody else.
Right. Yeah. No, it's so true. It's one of the most common analogies, right, that you hear out there, but people still don't practice it. So you had that awakening after your second time having an altercation with a car to
third time. That was the third time.
Wow.
But yes, and I did have the realization in 2013. That was the very first time I told anything about my story. And it took me from 2013 to 2018 to really understand that I had to like me. I had to come to terms with understanding that the love starts on the inside, and then you can shower it outside. And I can say now, I do love me. I absolutely love so many other people. In general, I just want to be able to say hello to everybody on the planet. But I've always done that. That's always been sort of a thing of mine. There is nothing as wonderful to me as a smile from someone else. Mm. I cannot tell you the sheer, the sheer internal joy when someone's walking by you, and my husband will tell you, on the west coast of Florida, they all know me because I will walk up and down the beach and peer in the faces of people, even that have earbuds, just to say hello. Because that's my thing. But it's so wonderful to watch the dawning in someone's eyes that, you know what, you didn't ask them for anything.
Right.
Just offered them a smile, mm-hmm. a hello. It's a gift with no strings attached.
Mm-hmm. And how often we don't think of that or remember that on a daily basis. That's beautiful. Yeah. And what beach is that in case I run into you? You can
Beaches.
travel down here.
Oh yeah, beaches. All
Beach.
the way from Clearwater. We often stay in Redington Shores,
Okay.
all the way down to Sanibel, Captiva, Naples. I've hit all those beaches. In fact, we were on the beach in Captiva. It was a horrific spring, and it was like it had been 39 degrees that morning. I think it was up to like 48, and they were watering the oranges and strawberries to keep them from freezing overnight. And we're on the beach in Captiva, and my husband's standing holding all my stuff because I'm in the water.
Uh-huh.
And walked by with his dog, said hello to my husband. He goes, that your wife? My husband said, yep. He goes, Canadian? Yep. I am now. But see, I'm sturdier stock. I come from Scotland, and the North Sea is way cold.
Yeah. I as a Floridian who moved here from Minneapolis, I completely understand where you're going with that. So
yeah,
so
you
now that I've been
definitely
here
get
for
it.
12 years, I'm freezing when it's 70 degrees. So
Well, even in high school, we used to go chip through the ice at the quarry to see who was brave enough to be the first people in the water in the spring.
Oh wow.
And literally have to chip through the ice.
Oh my gosh. Did you go in?
Of course I did. Hey, crazy runs deep here.
That's so fantastic. I love it. I love it. I had written down some quotes that I saw on your website or your bio. Even on the darkest days, I managed to still find something of wonder. Can
That's
you explain
very
a little
true.
bit about
That's
that? Like,
true.
to give some ideas to some people out there?
Yeah.
The lines of this.
I think part of it is because I know that finding something amusing or something that I find completely joyful completely turns around how you feel. And I now know it interacts like the dopamine, the serotonin, all those chemicals inside you become this wonderful cocktail that will lift the rest of you. So here we are, we're in the hospital. I think it was month 2, maybe month 3. And at this particular point, I was not doing well. I was dying. And my friends had come in, and one of my friends, who we've been friends since 1975, she came in and she brought some nail polish because she wanted to cheer me up. So we got some blue nail polish. It was somewhat like my Johnny gown. And she sat beside the bed, and she's painting my nails and crying. And I said, the hell are you crying for? I'm the one lying here with all these tubes and crap coming out of me, and you're sitting there bubbling. I didn't realize just how bad it was. But for me, I was so enamored of having my nails done for a change.
You were focused on that.
Absolutely. That's what I saw was cool. Another time, the cardiologist, poor man, 2 years ago, he said, okay, we have I have to impart some news, and I want to get, the heart. I have a model of the heart I want to show you, and he couldn't find it. And I said, go ahead, just tell me, what's the big deal? And he goes, okay, so your heart is too small. I said, what? He said, your heart, physically, your heart is too small. I said, whoa, just back up a second. You're telling me I have a Grinch heart?
Oh, no. Oh, my God.
He said, oh, my God, I didn't say, no, oh, my God, no, I didn't say that. And I couldn't stop laughing because the look on his face, I had just ruined this very serious moment for him.
The Grinch.
It's like, okay, so now I just tell people I have a Grinch heart.
Yeah.
There are days when kids don't like me where they go, yeah, well, that's because you have a Grinch heart. You can find joy anywhere. Mm-hmm. Every day, I'll give you a little hint. First thing in the morning, I have a little chihuahua who has issues, and I take my little chihuahua out front, and we feed the squirrels, who are actually a little bit bigger than her, because we feed them a lot. The chipmunks, the ravens, the blue jays who come and scream at the front window because they want nuts and seeds. That, for me, that's filling my cup with joy every morning.
Yeah. Wow.
Now, I don't want to sound like I'm goody two-shoes, because trust me, I ain't. Okay? That can all be shattered when my husband says something stupid. or I stub my toe, or I do something dumb. And you know what? You can choose to just start again. Any time of day, you can just go, you know what? Okay, I'm getting myself all bent out of shape here. Let's just take a deep breath and start again. And you can look for the joy in anything.
Yeah. You just segued into the other quote I wrote down that I found in your content. I made an important choice. I could be a victim of pain and adversity or choose to overcome it. And that's it. It's a choice. How do you go through life? It's all a choice.
It absolutely is. And I'm going to go one deeper because I freely admit that I am what I call a functional junkie. Let me explain. So because of all the damage that was left from the accident and some other things that happened later, some surgeries, I was on a very, very high dose of morphine and other drugs for many, many, many years. And in 2018, when I came to this final choice of learning to love me, my meditations took on a new form, I guess, and everything got so much clearer. I have been able to cut my insulin down to less than a sixth of what I was taking, and I have cut my medications down to less than a 15th of what I was taking. I still have to take one long-acting morphine, 15 milligrams in the evening, because there's a lot of residual pain. And I, like everything else, I have to make a joke out of it. So I am a functional junkie, but I am more functional than junkie now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't want people to get the wrong impression and think, oh, listen to goody two-shoes. Everything's sunshine and roses. Yeah, no, it's not. Right. Because in all of that, all of the joy, looking for joy and making those choices, there are days, could be moments, could be hours, could be a whole day, where, you know what, you just want to wallow. You just want to let yourself have a little pity party and wallow in your crap and, you know, maybe feel sorry for yourself for a bit. But I want you to put a timer on that.
Yes, I agree. Yes.
Because when you're done, package it all up in an imaginary bag, chuck the bag out with the garbage, and move on to the next bit of joy.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's so true, and something that's not said enough. I blogged about this last year about the term toxic positivity.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know, what you're promoting with that is for people to feel like it's okay to prolong, you know what I mean? Whereas it is a choice to get out of the mud and move forward. So
absolutely. And sometimes, you can't be positive 24 hours a day. You just can't.
Right.
Okay.
And change your mindset to work on that. And
absolutely. But understanding it's your mindset. And if you want to take that little bit of time, I don't know, make an appointment once a month to boo-hoo yourself and let yourself feel sorry for yourself, or do whatever amuses you for that little time. And when that time is over, then it just stops.
Yeah.
And if you have to do it more than once a month until you get stronger, then that's okay too. But it is about limiting that, Because trust me, when you find the joy in all the little things, for one thing, there's so much more that comes at you. Okay, joy just multiplies. And it just, everywhere you turn, you can find more joy. And you're not going to want to wallow as much.
Right.
You're not going to want to be stuck in those yucky times.
Right. No, you're absolutely correct. Wow. Well, this has been an amazing conversation. I am so grateful. I really believe everything you shared just helps build your confidence, and lots of tips and nuggets in there with your stories and inspirational thoughts about in regards to your stories of what you went through. Thank you so much, Elaine. Thank you. How can everyone get hold of you? And do you have any final thoughts for the audience that you'd like to share?
Final thoughts are, most important thing you can do every day is have a gratitude attitude. Okay. Choose life, keep breathing, and give someone a little bit of you. Pass on that smile. And now I realize that wearing masks makes it much harder. But God bless Tyra Banks years ago. She said you had to learn to smile with your eyes. Guess what? We can do that. We really can. If you want to get a hold of me, the easiest place to get a hold of me is Elaine at ElaineLindsay.com.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well,
and you can just look online, because you can find me at the corner of search and social.
And the other thing that we didn't mention is your show, BBP TV. Yes.
Yes.
So, and I'm super excited to be a guest on your show. I love to cross promote. So
I love that. I was going to say, okay. And what we didn't mention either is I want to say congratulations on your book.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely brilliant. And as someone who has said, people will hear in this interview, there are days when my husband is annoying, incredibly annoying. I guarantee you he will say the same about me because I have elevated the art of annoying to a whole new level. like wallowing. If you're going to do it, then be the best at it, right?
I liked you right away. I was like, I think we're very kindred.
I love that. But yes, I can't wait to have you on the show, Melinda. I think it's wonderful. And the last thing I'm going to mention, because I have told my story, there's another piece to it, and it's all in my podcast. And the podcast is called Suicide, Zombies, and Forgiveness.
Yes. Yes. And that just launched
that
on, is that on all the platforms like Apple and Stitcher? And
yeah.
Okay.
It's everywhere. Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. So yes, and I will put all of this in the show notes so people can check out the TV show, your new podcast, and get in touch with you. I think that's fantastic. Thank you.
Well, thank you so very much. And for the audience, make the best of your today every day.
Oh my gosh, that's so true. You just gave me the chills, girl.
Oh,
that's wonderful. Thanks again, Elaine. Thank you.
Thank you.